Good evening and welcome to the Manteno Village Board meeting for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and if we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Boyce, Boudreau,
Here.
Dole,
Here.
Crockett, Geske,
Here.
Phillips.
We have a quorum. Tonight, as always, we begin with the approval of the minutes. We have our regular board meeting minutes from February 3rd, 2025 in the packet. Hopefully, everyone's had the opportunity to review them. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, corrections? Seeing none, I'd accept the motion to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented by the clerk.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Boudreau,
Yes.
Dole,
Yes.
Geske,
Yes.
Phillips.
Motion carries. Tonight, the next item is public participation, and our first commenter is Bob Forsythe.
I'd like to go back to the last board meeting when Mr. Geske said money doesn't drive him. Well, State Farm, other businesses that you own, boats, cars, that doesn't drive, money doesn't drive that. Money's driven by everybody. Money drives everybody here. But you made a few statements last week, and it was that you're pretty proud that your daughter lives at home. I would hope so. She's 15. And you did correct that. But the $66,000, can we talk about that? That you wanted done? And you know too. We'll get to that a little later here. But were you going to combat the people that don't want Goshen? You took that money out of general funds. Wouldn't that be the Economic Alliance boards doing that? Shouldn't that where the money came from? It just makes me wonder because I saw a lot of pro people there, signs, even union people that had no clue what they were there for, but yet they had to show up. So did you help pay them too? I mean, we've seen Patrick Young at some of these things, and we all know it. We all know what we feel about him too, because I mean, he was just there for the show. He goes to the Economic Alliance Board meeting for the donuts. I've seen him there. But I'm just, really shocked at what goes on. But Mr. Geske, this election's pretty important. And it's really not about the mayor coming up here. It's about the trustees. Who's going to be the trustees? And I'm no doubt that you have some pretty nice people there running on your party. But we already know what it's going to be. They're yes people. They're people that have been pre-programmed to come in here and vote yes, because that's exactly what this is here. This is nothing but a yes group to say, hey, this is great. And you got the Freedom Party, you have people there that are actually going to speak up and ask questions. And they're a good group of people also. I've got to know them, nice people. But I just don't understand the fact that you say you're not driven by money. I wish you could explain that to me, that you're not driven by money. Because you are, everybody is. And Mr. O'Rourke, I come in here and I've tried to be very nice and I've talked to you.
Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Forsythe. The next commenter is Tim Finnegan.
I would like to start out saying I do so solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of, to the best of my ability. Everyone in here that's a trustee or the mayor has taken this oath in some form. This may not be a complete that you use. I find it kind of hypocritical for all of you to sit there and never say a damn word. To all or any of the board members that are veterans, you took an oath when you were indoctrinated into the service. In that oath, you said, I will faithfully protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all foreign and domestic enemies of the United States. Is China a foreign enemy? Statements have been made by members of this board that Goshen is not Chinese. If this is true, why is it required for employment to have to go to China for training? Goshen is a front. It's owned by the Chinese. All money will go to China. A statement by the board member that through his 14-year tenure on the board, very few residents came to board meetings. Has it ever occurred to the board member that up until the last few years, nothing was being done covertly? Until now, there was some transparency at those meetings, but now there is silence. To be noted, the secrecy of Goshen could and probably will impact every citizen of Manteno in a negative way. A member of the board always also made a comment to the effect of all my years, never before seen people act like this. My question to this member is, what rock have you been hiding under? Thank you.
Thank you. The next commenter is Sandy Chiz.
At the meetings, as was previously stated, you keep saying that we haven't shown up for the meetings, we haven't participated, and you almost seem to accuse us that we haven't shown up. But you know why we didn't show up? Because we trusted you, because we stupidly believed that you would do what was best for our town, so we bought into it. We stupidly placed our trust in you to care about our town, and we were so wrong. It's also been said that we weren't blindsided by Goshen and that all the information was provided at meetings that we didn't attend and elsewhere, except that's not entirely accurate. And I did a little bit of research and found FARA, which is registration required under the Foreign Agent Registration Act of 1938. And under that registration, there was no filing admitting that Goshen was partially subsidized by the People's Republic of China, the CCP, until 4/30/24, a year after their initial registration was filed on 4/21/23. So obviously you didn't have all the information that you should have had, and you voted for something you didn't even know. You had no clue, which is absurd and is terrible. Clearly, that by the time that we learned about it, it was common knowledge of Goshen's CCP affiliation, and yet the filing was long after the September 2023 announcement. It seems that when decisions were being made by this panel, all the information was not given to you, and maybe even intentionally hidden. Yet you trusted them to appear open and honest, and with all that happens in their plant, you expect us to believe that they'll be open and honest with us.
Thank you. The next commenter is Diane Baker.
Good evening. I'm here to expound on kind of what Bob said about the $66,000. Through Euphoria, we've gained access to records that show that a high-end publicity firm was retained by the Village of Manteno. I'm not sure all the board members are aware of it, if they approved it or what. All these invoices I'm holding in my hand have initials CL, which I assume is Chris LaRock, and TN for Tim Nugent. And it's showing, by the way, this high-end publicity firm represents people like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Marquette University, very high-end public figures and stuff. So these bills are ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you what it says on the byline for every one of these bills. It says, Pro Public Affairs Goshen. So it sounds to me like the Manteno Village Hall under Mayor Nugent is paying a publicity firm to push a private business on the backs of the taxpayers. Because these were paid from a general fund, and I'm going to read you some of these invoices. Starting back from October 20th, $18,978 was billed and paid. We got November, $7,599. Oh, and by the way, when we had our Goshen rally, the taxpayers of Manteno got to pay $116 for E. Erickson to be transported to and from the rally, whoever that is. And then we have, in December, $13,131, January, $5,289, February, $2,152. This is just some of the invoices. The ones I just gave are over $46,000. Rumor has it goes up to $66,000. Is this the great financial or respectable spending that Mayor Geske likes to say you guys are so good at handling the money in Manteno? Why is Manteno paying to promote Goshen? You brought it in under the Economic Alliance. They should be paying the bill, or you should be paying the bill. The people of Manteno do not owe this company anything, and they should not be promoting it on the backs of Manteno citizens, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I think it's a misappropriation of public funds, and I hope they look into it legally. Like I said, Mayor Nugent, either you pay or your alliance should pay, because Manteno does not need to be pro-public affairs for Goshen.
Thank you. The next commenter is Jerry Daly.
Mr. Geske, last board meeting, you said your greatest accomplishments was your 2 sons and your daughter. And you said you would do anything to keep her out of harm's way. Yet all of you voted yes to have a Chinese company come into Manteno, and you didn't vote for the majority of Manteno residents. You all voted yes to change it from a light industry to a heavy industry. You didn't vote for the majority of Manteno residents. You had hundreds of people against this, but you still voted yes, not for Manteno. You had a 25-year veteran fire chief tell you it's not a matter of if, but when a fire would happen, and it would be disastrous. You had people that worked in chemical plants tell you what a mistake it was to have it in town. You promoted jobs for the area. Union workers came out to support you, but the Chinese are not interested in union workers. You used them, and Pritzker used you. Yet the Chinese have homes here to house Chinese military-aged men on work visas every 3 months. Is that where the 26,000 jobs are going? Now they bought more land to house more people with a Zen garden for them. The travesty is it's being bought with our tax money, not costing the Chinese a dime. Has Pritzker told you that you've done a great job? Have you had a conversation with him the last 2 years? Do you really know what's going on in that plant? Have you been in the plant? I know you don't answer questions like you have the last 2 years. I wonder if you had a conversation with your families on how they felt about this before you voted yes on everything. I wonder if you asked them a question and they never answered you, looked at you, or looked the other way, or doodled on paper for 2 years what you would do. I can't believe you put your families and the town through this. Also, if your families or Manteno residents come down with any illness from air or water pollution or anything from this plant, it's all on your shoulders. But maybe you'll be able to take your families to China for a vaccine to cure it. You have ignored, used, lied to the residents of Manteno because I frankly believe that you don't give a damn.
Well, thank you. And the next commenter is Francine Fatima. I spell it. I say it different each time. I'm not sure which is correct.
Fatima.
Fatima? Okay.
Good evening. Well, here we are again, or here I am again. Village Board of Trustees. Usually, we just say it's a village board meeting. But in actuality, thank you, George, it is the Board of Trustees. Now, what does that mean? Well, I looked it up today. Trustee, a person that manages assets for the benefit of another person or entity, known as the beneficiary. Trustees have a legal obligation to act in the best interests of those beneficiaries. Well, the beneficiaries here are the residents of Manteno. And you all have been hoodwinked by our Chinese enemies to have them here. And it's wrong. And you know it's wrong, or you should know it's wrong, because we, the people here, don't deserve this at all. We're law-abiding, take care of our lawns, take care of our homes, all the right things. And where does it get us? I'm beginning to wonder, after living here 20 years and trusting the trustees to take care of things for us, how wrong I am. I don't want to be wrong. I want you to do something to get rid of Goshen. I think we have a Vice President, J.D. Vance, who's on the right track. The right track is to get rid of Goshen. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment section for tonight's meeting. Going on to Village President's report. I have nothing on the agenda for tonight. And Village Administrator's report, Mr. LaRock.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening either.
All right. Committee reports, Public Works and Utilities. Mr. Boyce is not here tonight, but Mr. Boudreau said he's got one item on the agenda.
All right, Mr. Boyce, nothing old business. New business is a resolution, Resolution 2416, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. Jim, if you want to just talk a little bit more about what that is.
Yep, we've been in this group for probably 5 to 7 years or so. To keep track of it, but basically it's a little bit of a housekeeping, some change of terminology. So it's more of an intergovernmental agreement. This network is built kind of like fire departments when they have a mutual aid response where they call in other departments. Frankfurt calls Manhattan, Manhattan calls in the next group. We have helped out twice now over the years. We went to Grant Park and helped with a storm cleanup, and then up to Lake County I think they made sandbags for some flooding that was going on up there. So it's a great little bit of an insurance program here for if we ever have a tornado or something come through, that we can call in on this. And it's great. It's set up. They've got trailers set up for with FEMA disaster response, radios, a bunch of equipment. So there's a big list of every village and county and township that's in it. You got a list of all their equipment, so there's quite a bit in Illinois. It's pretty unique. You see a couple of these other states that don't have this, South Carolina, Georgia, and it's kind of a big deal. I kind of looked into it a little bit, and they don't, so it's good that Illinois does.
Thank you. All that's left, the next Public Works Committee is this upcoming Tuesday, the 25th at 7 a.m. in the Village Boardroom.
Thank you, Ms. Boudreau. And you've got your own properties and recreation.
Yep. No old business. New business, we got 2 lease agreements, one between the Village and the Manteno Youth Soccer League, and one between the Village and the Manteno Youth Baseball Softball League. This is just our yearly lease, just updating them, and that is all I have.
Thank you. Is there anything different in any of the leases at all?
No, these basically we just changed the date on them. We do them annually by the recommendation of the village attorney, and everything has stayed the same. Never had any issues with any of the leagues. They've
And this
done
is
a great
similar to
job,
what we
so.
do with the football program?
Correct. They're working on getting theirs approved, and we'll be seeing that one probably next month.
Okay. Anything else? No? Thank you. Public Safety and Health, Mrs. Dole.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any old business tonight either, and I don't have any new business. My next public safety meeting is March 12th here at 7 a.m. in the Village Boardroom. This week, the Manteno Police Department took a report of an accidental discharge of a handgun in a home. Fortunately, nobody was hurt this time. This is not always the case. This can only happen if basic gun safety rules are violated. If you own a gun and keep it in your home, it is your responsibility to know how to safely store and handle that gun. Here are a few tips. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Always keep the gun unloaded until ready to use. Know how to use the gun safely and get training if needed. Store the gun safely and securely at all times. If you don't have a safe way to store your gun, you can contact the Manteno Police Department for a free gun lock, which I didn't know that was something you could get, so that was good to know. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Stoll. Planning and zoning, Mr. Crockett is not here tonight. He does not have anything on his agenda. He had a planning and zoning committee meeting that was canceled, and the planning commission meeting is scheduled for March 11th, if one is necessary, but do we know whether there's one necessary or not?
Yeah, we will have one agenda item so far. Yep.
So March 11th at 7 p.m. Finance, Mr. Geske.
Thank you, Mayor. The only item I have is payment of bills, amount of $115,746.01, of which there are no TIF bills and no bills authorized and paid between board cycle. Our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for the 12th at 7 a.m. right here. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Geske. General Government, Mr. Phillips.
All I have is a consideration to appoint Dawn Geske as the FOIA officer and Open Meetings Act OMA designee.
Yeah, this is
That's all I have.
as a result of Darla is retiring, I believe
Yes,
her last
she's
day
retiring next month.
is March 7th. And per statute, we have to have someone, not necessarily any one or two individuals that are the designated FOIA officers, so they'll receive the FOIA if Dawn or whoever is the FOIA officer is not there. They can designate somebody else to be the FOIA officer in their absence, but that way you comply with the statute and make sure that you have a designee in order to do that. It's part of the regular job duties, just like it is has been in the past.
So, for clarification, is there any pay raise, anything associated, Chris, with this position?
No,
Or is
this
simply-
is a designated by the board position that it becomes part of that person's duties at whatever they're
So,
getting paid.
for the most part, this designation is just like designating who's going to answer the phone. It's just designating who's got those.
Only that's not set by statute where this is.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So the items that we'll be voting on the consent agenda are as follows. Under old business, we have nothing. Under new business, we have Resolution 24-16, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. Item number 2 is a motion to appoint a FOIA and open meetings designee. Item number 3 is motion to approve a lease agreement between the Village of Manteno and Manteno Youth Soccer League. Item number 4 is a motion to approve a lease agreement between the Village of Manteno and Manteno Youth Baseball Softball League. And finally, the payment of the bills in the amount of $115,746.01, of which no bills are TIF 3 bills. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be voted on individually?
I would like to have the FOIA officer be voted on separately, please.
Okay, so we'll be taking that off first and voting on everything else. Is there any other items that need to be voted on individually? I accept the motion to take a single roll call vote on the question of passage of the agenda items with the exception of number 2.
I make the motion.
Motion by Phillips.
I'll second.
Second by Boudreau. Roll call.
Okay. Phillips,
Yes.
Boudreau,
Yes.
Dole,
Yes.
Geske.
Yes.
Motion carries. To accept the motion to approve by unanimous vote the ordinances, resolutions, motions, and orders contained in the consent agenda with the exception of number 2.
So moved.
Motion by Geske,
Second.
second by Dole. Roll call.
Geske,
Yes.
Dole,
Yes.
Boudreau,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve item number 2?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Dole,
I'll second.
second by Boudreau. Roll call.
Dole,
Yes.
Boudreau,
Yes.
Geske,
Abstain.
Phillips.
Yes.
I vote
Mayor.
aye.
Okay.
Motion carries. Comments tonight? Mr. Boudreau, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think I'm now becoming just a designee for the high school. But we did, I'm going to steal Ketsky's thing, sorry. 2 new basketball records were broken, and why I think it's important is because one's from 1990 and one's from 1987, so it has been a minute here. Ray Lee, someone I happen to be grateful to teach, just broke the all-time score record for boys basketball, passing Scott Wenzel from 1987. How old is that? Scott Wenzel graduated with my father. So it has been a minute since we've broken this. So, and we beat Piatone, so it was awesome. And then girls basketball, who are starting regionals tonight in Beecher in the semifinals, became the first conference champ since 1990. So our basketball programs have really kicked it in to high gear. I also want to shout out Manteno Magic, our show choir group, got 3rd place at their first competition, so we're kind of on a groove there with that. So our high school is humming, which is great to see the young Mantenoans doing well. I do want to take a special shout out. I had a person reach out to me who lives in town, asking to try to get more interested and involved with parks. I know we used to have like a parks committee at some point. He actually works up north in kind of a park district, offer ideas, so I thought I would kind of maybe start that up again or meet with him to come up with ideas. So I'm always open again for any residents that have ideas, especially with parks. Again, I don't have any kids personally, but any ideas with that kind of stuff would always be great. With that, again, thanking the public works people, public post office, anyone that had to work outside this last couple of weeks. We are very grateful for you. It is very cold with that kind of stuff. And then just to repeat again, if you ever have any questions about anything at all, please respond to me. My email is cboudreau@villageofmanteno.com. And for those of you that don't know me, and maybe you have a kid that's in the high school or just recently graduated, they're the most honest people you'll ever meet, teenagers. So please ask them, and you'll kind of find more out about me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boudreau. I'm somewhat familiar with the basketball program because that's why I've missed the last couple of meetings was for some of the other basketball programs that have had a lot of success this year. So kudos to the whole district for other things they've had. So. Mrs. Dole.
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Mr. Geske.
Piggyback on what CJ said, sounds like there's never been a better time to live in Manteno, and we're just starting it, right? It's great. I'm heading to that basketball game and looking forward to it. But real quick, just want to address a topic that was brought up last week, a question about why we would increase people's taxes just to turn around and rebate it back. So Chris, I'm going to ask you some questions about it and kind of give me a feel, why would we do that? Why does that make sense?
Yeah, so what you have to understand is that the levy is not only added to residential parcels, it's added to every parcel in the village. So businesses, industrial locations, that levy applies to all of those parcels. So even though we give back the residential portion of the taxes that we bring in, the businesses and the multifamily units, they all still have to pay. So that levy, again, is important. Again, if you look at it and realize that we increased the levy $40,000 across all the parcels in the village, and that basically is what we take in extra in an $8 million budget. So the $40,000, again, spread over all the parcels in Manteno is pretty small.
So then by us increasing that tax levy, we're trying to offset some of our increased expenses, and we're doing it with the commercial properties that don't get the rebate, multifamily that don't get the rebate, or people who have sold their house and left midway through the year, they don't get the benefit of the rebate. Is that a fair statement?
Yep, correct.
Okay. And over the last 3-4 years, what's our average levy been? Has it been 2.5%?
No, it's been about 1.75 to 2%. Again, if you look at what our budget needs to go up every year, just even to cover payroll, not to mention all the other services and materials that we buy, $40,000 doesn't go very far. And I think the previous year it was $37,000. Year before that, maybe $35,000. So this is a small drop in the bucket, but it's definitely necessary. And I've been of the opinion we should be raising it more. The board has held it down, and, kudos to them, but we have a little difference of opinion on that.
So just to not be too confrontational, cost of living increases, 2021 was 4.7%, 2022 was 8%, 2023 was 4.1%, 2024 was 3%. We've been under the cost of living each year, but we are using the tool as a way to ensure that our residents will hopefully be financially solvent enough to continue our tax rebate. Fair?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Geske, Mr. Phillips? The only item I had tonight is I had a couple people ask me how come the lights were still on, because we talked earlier at one of the meetings that, we keep the lights on for the month of January, but I had a number of people reach out because I don't know if everybody else's opinion, but my opinion is it looks pretty nice. It's beautiful, and it's, especially when the snow's on the ground, it looks great. So in case anyone was wondering, what does it cost in order to run that? We did check on the cost of how much the village pays in lights in the month of December and January as opposed to the rest of the month. And there is about a $350 a month cost to keep the lights on over and above the the normal lights that we run on a regular basis. So there is a cost associated. But we just thought it was a nice amenity for many of the residents in town like us who don't have houses and condos in Florida or Arizona and leave for the winter. It'd be nice to help, brighten the community a little bit and let us get through the winter on the winter doldrums where there is so much darkness. Now it's staying in daylight a little bit longer. This is going to end, come the end of February as far as the lights are concerned. So if anyone had concerns about why they were still on, you can rest assured that they will be turned off then. So we'll start saving that extra $350. But for the month of February, I thought I made the executive decision that I thought it was a good move, and that's what sometimes mayors have to do. I have I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Geske, second by Dole. Roll call.
Geske,
Yes.
Dole,
Yes.
Woodrow,
Yep.
and Mr. Phillips.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming and for watching.